Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are finally getting our hands on the new Tier 10 aka Legendary Tier American Battleship Montana. And I promise you will not be disappointed. So, let's get into our commander, shall we? We're running Willie Sims. We've got Scharnhorst and Paolo de Revel as our commander inspirations. Now, obviously, if you do not have Scharnhorst, you can run Cunningham. It's a slightly different buff to your dispersion, but it still does help a little bit. If that's what you've got, that's what you've got. You can either do that, or you can go all in on the reloading with using the Paolo de Revel and then using Charles Madden, which also speeds up your turret traverse. Okay, I also run Flammable Cannoneer. I know a lot of people say this is an outdated thing, but personally, I prefer the extra range and the extra shell grouping. I want all the good things. Yes, it does mean that you're pretty much guaranteed to be set on fire anytime anybody looks at you with HE. I get that, but that's a trade I'm willing to make. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay, gyrating drill bits, marksmanship, reaching out XXL, and will to rebuild. Okay, now we are running AA mods 2. We have steering gears mod 2. We have target acquisition mod, and we have the artillery plotting room mod 2. Now, this mod here you could swap out for the propulsion mod. It is only based on what you prefer. I tend to almost always be full speed ahead anyway, so the propulsion mod doesn't really help me in most situations because I'm already going at least close to, if not full speed. So keep that in mind. I prefer to be able to move out of the way of things. So that's my opinion, but you could easily swap this for a propulsion mod. It's basically 1A, 1B depending on your play style. I tend to get up close and personal, so I need the steering gears. Okay? Now, loadout. We are running the spotter planes. You get 6 of them, which you will never use all of these. We are also running an epic battle booster. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, I will say this. Even with the epic battle booster, depending on the map size, your range will vary by as much as, I want to say it's 0.2 kilometers. So on a small map, you will have 19.99 kilometers of range. And on a larger map, you're going to have basically 20.2 kilometers of range. It's not a huge difference, but it does make a little bit of a difference on those larger maps. But I definitely prefer having the epic battle booster because that's what allows this thing to get into its flanking positions. You can keep your distance initially, get those outside edges, and start creating those crossfires that you're looking for. And I'm telling you, this thing lives by crossfires. Okay? I promise you, that is what you want to be working towards. Get those crossfires. Don't try to sling from your base. Work around the edge and try to get those crossfires. You will not like this ship if you're just sitting at the base shooting at bow tanking people. Okay? I promise. Alright, so we are running the Alpha Test flag, which again, this flag does nothing. It is purely cosmetic. It's a way for me to show that I've been in the game since Alpha Test. Okay? And we are running a permanent shadow camo because, I mean, do we really need to say it? Like, this thing looks sexy as hell in the shadow camo. So, let's get to the stats. Survivability, 89,800 hit points and a 37% torpedo reduction. Not quite as good as the Massachusetts and Alabama, but much better than the Iowa, and has significantly more hit points than the Iowa. Iowa at its best can get like 75,000 hit points, I believe, at like a maximum hit point build. But this thing, 89,800 currently. You could get that over 90,000 if you put Hyde on here as an inspiration. So keep that in mind. Artillery, you have 406mm Mark 7s, and these are the same guns that the Iowas have. Now, I know that the Kansas also says that it has Mark 7 guns, but I don't believe that the Kansas fires the exact same shell that the Iowa does. This Montana, however, does fire the super heavy 3,000-pound armor-piercing shell that everybody loves about the Iowa. And like I said, you get 20.1 kilometers. I think on certain maps that goes up to like 20.2, and on other maps it's like 19.99. It does fluctuate a little bit depending on the size of the map. I know a lot of people argue this with me, but I promise you I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And I apologize for the language, but it does bother me when people are like, it doesn't affect the range depending on the size of the map. I'm like, I can literally show you. Give me a large map, give me a small map, you'll see that the range does change depending on the map with the exact same build. But either way, 28.4 second reload time with this build, which is better than the Kansas. It's exactly the same as the Iowa with the same build. So keep that in mind. 180-degree turn time is great for a battleship at 32.7 seconds, so fantastic there. That's why I say you don't really need to run Madden, but I could see if you don't have Scharnhorst, you don't want to run Cunningham, running Madden and DeRevel on there, getting your reload down to like a 27-second reload, I could see that being, kind of nice. But HE shell maximum damage 5,700 with a 36% fire chance. AP shell maximum damage 14,410. Secondary armament, you get 127mm Mark 41s. You get 20 of those, which is the exact same as most of the higher tier American battleships. Massachusetts, Alabama, Iowa, North Carolina, Kansas, they all have the same loadout as far as the American 5-inch 38 gun turrets. So 5 kilometer firing range, 4-second reload time. HE shell maximum damage is 1,800 with a 9% chance to set fires. AA defense is maxed out on this thing. However, in my experience so far, while this thing does have plenty of AA to protect you, more often than not, by the time the planes are actually deciding to come after you, because everybody knows the Montana has amazing AA, like everybody. So most of the time, carriers do not attack you until later in the game when most of your AA has already been destroyed. Especially if you've been under the barrage of fire spammers, like the Conqueror or any HE spamming cruiser. So keep that in mind. Your AA is very vulnerable because you have so much of it. And it doesn't take very long for AA to ruin, or not AA, HE to ruin your AA capability. But if you still have all your AA, planes do not stand a chance. 20mm Ehrlichen Mark 4s, you have 20 of those doing 72 damage per second, reaching out to 2.4 kilometers. Then you have the 20mm Ehrlichen Mark 20s that you have 40 of that do 122 damage per second and reach out to 2.4 kilometers. Then you have the 40mm Bofors Mark II, which you have 80 of and do 318 damage per second and reach out to 4.2 kilometers. And then you have the 127mm Mark 41s secondaries that you have 20 of that do 157 damage per second and reach out to 6.2 kilometers. So you have very, very good AA. It's disgusting. I'm fairly confident it is the best AA in the game for a battleship at this time. Maneuverability. Maximum speed is 27.8 knots. It takes a long time. If you're not running propulsion mod, it takes a very long time to get up to that 27 knots. And anytime you start to change course, because this is a very long ship, it has a very high resistance in turning, which means it slows down a lot in turns. So keep that in mind. It does have a 950-meter turning circle, which is worse than the Iowa, but it's really not as bad as that sounds. It does feel very similar to the Iowa in that respect. Rudder shift time with this build, having the steering gears mod, is only 18.9 seconds. I'm pretty sure it's over 20 seconds if you don't have the steering gears mod. It is very sluggish, but if you're used to the Iowa, you can play this thing no problem. Concealment, 15.3 kilometers is half a kilometer worse than the Iowa, which is to be expected. It is larger. Detectability by air is 12.8 kilometers. Guaranteed is always 2, and the detectability while firing in smoke is pretty horrible at 15.5 kilometers. It's pretty awful in that sense, but it's to be expected. It is a battleship after all. Armor. The armor on this thing is much better than the Iowa. It still only has a 32mm bow. Okay, what does this mean? This means that Yami still overmatches your bow. However, you'll notice that down the side of the ship, you have an extremely good belt. It doesn't start until the like first gun turret. So it's basically protecting your citadel. If you angle this belt, nothing goes through it. Just putting that out there. If you angle this belt, anything that shoots this belt is not going through. It will bounce and shatter Yami shells, GK shells. Conqueror never shoots HE or AP at me anyway, so it's generally HE, so you're screwed there. But everything else, no problem bouncing and shattering battleship guns. However, because that the front is 32 millimeters, here's something that you guys will notice, and I'm going to showcase this in the match that you guys are going to see. We're actually going to do a double feature for you guys, but this is going to be very, very important. If you are coming in at close range on a Yami or any other good battleship, if you are coming close range, they do have the penetration to go through that bow side plating, much like most of the American dreadnoughts. That bow side plating will get you citadeled, because it'll go through that side plating and go right into your citadel. So let's look at the citadel on this thing. You can see that fantastic belt armor. Let me check that belt, actually. That's the torpedo protection. Let's not look at that. Here we go. 409 millimeters on the belt. Okay? And like I said, it is a angled belt out, but it also, if you angle the ship against whatever is shooting at you, I'm telling you, you will shatter so many rounds. It's not even funny. So, this thing is very, very tanky. But, as with all American and German battleships, it has a very large superstructure. Okay? So, the superstructure on this thing, as you guys can see here, very large. Why is that important? Well, that means that anybody who shoots at this superstructure is more or less guaranteed to get multiple penetrations and be able to stack up damage on you. And on top of that, American and German superstructures also have more hit points allocated to their superstructures, meaning that people can farm the superstructure for much more damage. So do not be caught off guard when people stack 15,000 damage on you in a salvo hitting your superstructure. Okay, it will happen. So keep that in mind. Alright, so the citadel on this thing is pretty well protected. It is mostly below water, does slightly come up above the waterline. We can't really see it in this freaking port because this port's obnoxious as hell, but you can tell kind of from this angle that it does slightly reach up above the waterline. And you can see that you have a nice flat face on the front of the citadel for those shots coming through the bow side plating that we already talked about. Okay, and like I said, we will showcase that coming up in the video. But let's take a look at it. Long reach, above average main battery range. Much like the Iowa, this thing is fully capable of reaching out and touching people. However, the Iowa actually gets better range than this. And I don't know why that is. They have the exact same guns, the exact same shells. I have no idea why the Iowa gets more range than this, other than the fact that maybe this gets better dispersion than the Iowa, so they traded it for, you know, that. That's the only thing I can figure. But guns aplenty. You have a 12-gun broadside that are literally the best guns in the game. Okay, we talked about the Kansas recently with its buff becoming the best battleship at Tier 7. Well, I personally think that this is now the best battleship at Legendary Tier. And that is my opinion, but I honestly am not joking. After the 2 days that I've had this now, I have thoroughly enjoyed my time in this. Like I said, it does have its downside, especially up close and personal against other big battleships, especially Yami. But at range, and if anybody is dumb enough to give this thing a broadside, you're gonna have a good time. It is tough, above average base HP rating. I mean, it's basically right there in the wheelhouse. Slightly worse HP than the Yami, slightly better than the Conqueror, definitely worse than the GK. So it is right there, right in the middle ground. But very good hit points, very good armor, very great broadside. It's one of the best. Montana, one of the largest battleships in the world. I mean, it was never built, so how could it be one of the largest battleships in the world? But either way, she was slightly inferior to Iowa-class ships in terms of speed, okay, but had more main guns and significantly stronger torpedo protection. Montana's armor was conventionally arranged and considerably reinforced. She was designed in 1941, but she was never built. Now, I don't like the way they worded this. They make it sound like it was actually built. It was never built. This would have never been able to get through the Panama Canal, I'm guessing. The Iowas famously had like terrible torpedo protection because they were made to go through the Panama Canal, which is 110 feet wide. And just to put it into perspective, the Iowas were 108 feet wide. So you had literally 2 feet to squeeze a ship through that canal. Now, they've since widened the Panama Canal. It is much wider now. But back when these ships were built, they were literally built wide enough that they could still fit through the Panama Canal, which is an interesting little tidbit. This is where I have my freaking information that I love these Iowa-class battleships, and I know this is similar. So this would have been too wide. That torpedo bulge that you see on the side would have made it too wide to go through the torpedo, or through the Panama Canal. But either way, I love this ship. There's no doubt about it. This is now my favorite legendary tier battleship, period. It's not even close. But sexy in black, as always. I mean, who doesn't look better in black? Every girl looks better in a little black dress, and nobody can argue it. So, yeah, perfect in every way. Love this ship so much already. And we're just going to take a nice little cinematic view. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. And with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so first match we're going to be on Greece. And like I said, this is going to be a double feature. But we're going to get to show the strengths, the weaknesses, and the absolutely sexy Montana. I've been waiting a long time for this, and I was hoping that this ship could live up to the hype. And by the hype, I mean I've hyped this ship up for so long. I've wanted this ship in my life, and it's so good to finally have it. Like, if you guys watched the stream, like, I was so excited that I finally unlocked the Montana last night that I actually decided to stream it before making a Meet the video on it, which is something I've never done for any other ship. So that's fun. But for real, we were looking forward to this, and in the very first game, we were on this map spawning the opposite side from where we are currently, and we put up over 200,000 damage. I think it was like 208,000 damage in the very first outing in this ship. This ship absolutely blaps. There is no other way around it. However, it also has every ability to get blapped right back, which is sometimes unfortunate. Especially when your name is Spartan Elite 43 and you're in a ship that very few people actually currently have. It can end really, really badly very, very quickly. As if you kept watching that stream, me and Aaron found out when I ran into literally everybody on the enemy team. And they all just wanted my giblets. And they had planes to spot, they had all the things. So it didn't end well, but Kerr first right off the bat, broadside on, slightly angled in, and we blapped that man for 34,000 with 0 citadels. That is what you can expect out of this thing. Regularly catching people on the second salvo and already being over 50,000 damage. Like, this thing is disgusting when people give it a broadside. And so, you know, Kerr first, not to be outdone. I mean, he's already been blapped once. We go ahead and take another shot. Now, we are broadside to a Jean Bart right now, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of underestimate the Jean Bart's ability to touch me. You know, I forget sometimes about those French magic bullets, but as you can see, second salvo away, we're over 50,000 damage already. That's what I'm talking about. This ship and the Kansas are second to none for being able to do that. It's just not even close. And that's why I love these ships. Okay, it's just their consistency. And you guys know me, my #1 thing that I look for in ships is consistency. Now, we take a shot here looking for the superstructure and guns of this Jean Bart, knowing I need to turn in to start to kind of get angled against these guys, but also keep myself in range to do what I do. But these guys are actually going to have somebody in position to spot me, which is real unfortunate. Jean Bart's outside my smoke firing penalties. There is somebody inside my detection and is not spotted, and it's really frustrating the crap out of me in this match. I'm not gonna lie. They're gonna get me murdered, and by murdered I mean this Jean Bart's gonna reload boost me and just punch me right in the kisser. Like, I thought that I had gotten away. I thought that everything was about to go well. We go ahead, we got a shot at this Grossa Kerr first. It says that I can make it over the island. Grossa Kerr first gets a couple of hits, but watch what this Jean Bart does to me on this next salvo. Actually, I'm starting to think that wasn't actually the Jean Bart. Maybe that was the rear guns of the Grossa. Somebody touched me! And it was at this point that I was pretty frustrated, because I'm like, every time I start to have a good game, this happens. Like, every time. I start to have a good game, and I get a couple of bad penetrations because I'm trying to get angled back in to keep myself in a good position, and just everything goes wrong. Now, the good news is I have an island here. I should be able to maintain my ability to not be detected and do what I gotta do. Now, here you can see we take a shot at this Charles Martel. We did aim that one a little bit low, which is going to come back and bite us. We shot into the island instead of hitting his ship, which is real unfortunate. We tried to time it for when he showed himself, but we could have easily gotten that kill if we'd have just took our time and aimed that properly. He goes down, and that actually keeps us from being detected. But the mains is still out here and hitting us pretty hard, and GK is about to come around that island as well and spot us. Now, you can see I am looking at this Jean Bart here, who is starting to push forward, and we're going to get a little bit of revenge on this Jean Bart as soon as he gives us the opportunity. So we're going to reverse, try to get away from the high point of this island. You can see right now we can't hit him. There's some jerk with a mansion on top of the hill that's keeping us from shooting, which is real unfortunate. But we're going to reverse and take a shot here. I was thinking the Yami, but the Yami's turning in towards us. That's not a good position for me. Keep an eye on that Yami, though. That Yami that's in mid is going to punish me as well. But Jean Bart opens up the angle. I am begging for this guy to continue his turn. And unfortunately, he's just not going to do it. Our Minotaur is shooting at him, and he's going to turn to bow tank this Minotaur, and that's going to screw me over. Which is real unfortunate, because I was really, really hoping that he would bow, or he would go broadside to us. He does open the angle a little bit. We aim high, going for that guns, the superstructure, and we get a very good result out of it. We end up hitting this man for 18,000 damage right there. So, very good result. Grossa Kerfers puts himself in a position that he can actually punish us here. So we're going to try to pull up, use the island to block the mines, and focus this Grossa with the front guns. We're not going to be able to get the full broadside on him because the rear guns is still looking the other direction. But we will be able to get the front guns away, and we're going to be able to blap this guy. We're at 88,000 damage. Yama reaches out and touches me from the left. You can see, not real thrilled about that. But we do get a decent hit here on the Grossa. He is now broadside to our Minotaur back there as well. We're going to have to use our last heal. We don't have anybody in range to will to rebuild us here, so we've got to keep ourselves alive. Getting up close and personal with his island is going to help protect us from the Yami and the mines and allow us to focus this GK down. So GK comes around the island. We go ahead, we unload the guns on him, we take the shot, and we should be able to easily finish him off. But the Minotaur, of all things, manages to finish him off right before our shells get there. And because we were reversing, we get caught by that Yami once again. You can see I'm trying to freaking get the attention of my teammates because that Yami really is getting on my nerves. And like I said, keep an eye on the name of that freaking guy. His name is Gaki. The reason I say keep an eye on him is he's going to be not only in this match, but in the next one. But he's got his eyes on me, and what he should be paying attention to is the fact that he's turning out in front of my entire team over in the other cap. And that is inevitably going to end awfully for him in 3, 2, 1, and down he goes. Gaki, GG, dude. You were absolutely a pain in my backside in this one, and you will be no different in the next one, I promise. But he ends up in both of my games here that I'm showcasing. But we're at 101,000 damage. We've had to be very, very passive here at the end, but we didn't have a choice. We had to take it easy. We've got a Yami pushing in. We've got a Mino behind the island to my right. He's not actually able to shoot at anything currently. I can't afford to push out in front of this Yami, who will absolutely kill me. So I'm waiting for my team to develop. You can see they've completely won their side of the map. I need them to move from that side and start to move out. I can't really do this alone. Fortunately for me, the Mino behind me actually makes a good play here. He's going to pull out. He's going to use his concealment. He's going to come out. He's going to launch torpedoes at this Yami that's in front of me. He's also going to start to shoot at this guy, which is going to get the Yami's attention. The Yami's going to start to shoot back at him, and he's going to start to go bow in, which is actually going to angle the Yami in such a way that if I come out, I should be able to go through his bow side plating at this range, no problem. So it's at this moment that I'm like, okay, we've got a pretty solid chance at a Yami kill here. We can really get rid of this guy, help the team out, and then it's a couple of cruisers. Even if I die, I will take this trade, no problem. Alaska comes out, giving us a pretty good look, but we can't afford to take that shot. I don't want this Yami to know that I see him and I'm actually trying to engage him. Yami starts to move in here, and then he sees the torpedoes and he turns out, which is what I was hoping for. Fortunately for me, I never actually have to come out because this Yami ends up taking the torpedo right on the freaking bow, and that kills him. You know, Minotaur torps are no joke either. Torpedoes are nasty anyway. You definitely want to try to take them on the belt if you can. If you have to take a torpedo, take it on the belt. But we show up and the Mines has his pants down around his ankles. This guy has no idea I was coming. And unfortunately, first shot was awful. Like, just straight awful. We only get 2 hits from freaking 7 kilometers, and I was upset. Now, here we have no choice. We have to use the damage con, which, because we don't take the emergency specialist or whatever it is, because we don't take that, we actually have a nice immunity point here that's going to allow us to get reloaded and remove this mines. He's not getting lucky twice at this range. He's just not. So we're going to go straight through the bow and nuke the man. Down he goes, 16,000 damage. He's gone. And that's huge. He never got his torpedoes away. He tried to bow tank us. I don't know why, but he tried. We survived with 6,000 hit points. We've got 123,000 damage. We've got a broadside Alaska over there. We've got a broadside Gross occur first. We are now in the perfect position to completely annihilate everybody that's left on the match. But we're not going to stop there. We're actually going to go for the cap as well. There's no reason for us to sit outside here. And you can see the extended range coming in real handy here with that 20.2 kilometer range. Getting into the backside of this Alaska, who does not even know I exist, and is going to get extremely lucky that RNG just says no on this one. He gets touched with two penetrations. 1 full pin, 1 over pin. Should have been an absolute pounding, but he gets away with it. Well, that was enough to get his attention. He realizes somebody's shooting at him from over here, even if he can't see us. And we're going to be able to hopefully get rid of him on this shot. He starts to move forward, but he's not really pushing. He's just kind of trying to, not sure what he wants to do. We take the shot again. Gross occur first actually ends up ramming our linen, which was odd because the Gross occur, well, it's a great play for the Kerfers because he takes out a basically full health ship and loses very little in it. But you can see the Alaska actually didn't get touched much there. He pulls forward, gets touched by our team. We're looking at getting a shot over the island here. We could barely get the shot over the island, but he dies to our teammates anyway. And that's when I realized there's actually an Azuma out here, and I had no idea this guy even existed, to be honest. I thought the game was over when the Alaska died. But we get that assisted cap with the Mino here, and we're already salivating. Like, there's very few ships in this game that guarantee citadels quite like an Azuma, a Mines, you know, just guaranteed citadels. So we're going to turn out, we're going to get all the guns to bear. We've got a spotter plane ready to give us the best dispersion possible. We get a full salvo away. We see he's slightly reversing. We take the shot and look at that frickin' dispersion. Wait for it. Pow! Absolutely neutering the man, but still leaving him alive. Go figure. Not allowed to just finish the man outright, right? I mean, the guy is doing everything wrong in this game, but they still protect him with not allowing us to dev strike him, unfortunately. But it doesn't matter because we have a decent reload on this thing, we're going to get the second chance to finish him off. Very few people are in range to attack him except for a couple of cruisers. So we get another shot out. You can see they are actually hitting him, but we managed to come in and seal the deal, getting him off the board. And finishing the first game of our double feature with a solid 177,000 damage game, 2,900 base XP, 2 kills, top of the leaderboard. And we had a crap ton of potential damage against us in that one. I wish we could actually see that, but don't get me wrong. We got another beautiful game coming up, and this one's going to be absolutely disgusting. And this is going to showcase exactly what I talk about when I say this thing lives and dies by giving the getting those broadside shots into people. You have to get this thing into position to do what it does. Okay? Preferably at medium range, but if you have to do it at long range, it's fully capable of reaching out and touching people. But I'm telling you, if you get this thing into a position for crossfire opportunities, this thing will neuter the enemy team. and it has a decent reload. It's got good hit point pool. It's got good accuracy. This thing has it all. It's got decent penetration. The only thing that this thing struggles to penetrate at range is a Yami. And that's because the Yami has just weird armor. It has ridiculous armor. So the Yami is really the only thing at range that you have to worry about. And the closer you get to the Yami, the less you have to worry about that. But at the extreme ranges that you end up engaging initially in a match, struggling to get those big hits on the Yami. But everything else is just juicy targets waiting to get blapped. Now, right off the bat, Grossikerfer spotted bow into us. We're looking for another opportunity, and that's when the Champagne shows up, basically broadside and begging for it. So we pop the spotter plane, we get the shot out, and look at that frickin' dispersion. I thought that this man was dead. And, yeah, we just took half his health. Just straight hit him, 23,000 damage. Dude's lucky to be alive. If we had aimed that a little bit further back, that man's death struck. There's no doubt in my mind. That was the best RNG that you're going to get. Now, Yami takes a shot at us. That's Gaki. Remember Gaki? Him and his buddy Gizmo? They're right next to one another in the center of the map. And they are going to be a gigantic pain. But then we see this Alaska out here. We are loaded again. Again, that is the beauty of this thing. It's got a decent reload. Not quite as fast as the Yami, but a decent reload. And these shells are disgusting, dude. Getting a Citadel on that freaking Alaska, we are able to take a hit from the Kerr first, and then here comes the Yami shells again. We take a little bit of damage there, but we're already turned away. Then a second Alaska comes out broadside, and he says, you know, anything an Alaska can do, my Alaska R can do much, much better. So he comes out full broadside. He's angled slightly away, which is actually better for me. Means I'm less likely to overpin, and we punch right through and double Citadel him. And you can see already at 80,000 damage as the original Alaska punches us in the mouth right back, showcasing this thing broadside is kind of not preferable. You will take damage from everything. Alaska's punch right through this. Grossikerfer's punch right through this. Yami punches right through this. Now here we're looking at the Edinburgh. We're like, okay, we have an opportunity, but he's going a little too fast. We're not confident that we're going to get that shot into the Edinburgh before he gets behind the island, so we just got to bide our time. That's when I noticed this Alaska in front of me is actually chasing their Alaska. Their Alaska's coming straight in. Remember, we blapped that man. Sure, he's going to heal some of that back, but it's a Citadel. He can only heal back like a third of a Citadel hit, right? So he's not going to get a huge chunk of health back, and he is going to get enough health to push in on our Alaska, and they are going to go for a ram on each other, which is unfortunate, because I was going to help him. I was actually coming over here to help our Alaska, but he turns in and goes towards this Alaska, which helps keep him away from me, which is never what you want to do. So, as somebody on the map, you gotta try to help your teammates help you out sometimes. It's not always easy to do, because you can't always look at everything everybody's doing, but you gotta try to pay attention to what your teammates are, and you can see I'm trying to help the man. But he's going to go in. There's nothing I can do. They're staying behind the island. I'm looking at the Edinburgh out here. I'm looking to try to get him. I don't really have a shot. We've got to avoid this island. You can see these guys still behind the island. There's nothing I can do to help them. So now we're going to start measuring everybody else up. And that means we have this Grossiker first, which is not Gaki's teammate, but we have a Grossiker first, broadside on. We take this shot. This man gets absolutely annihilated. He eats all of the torpedoes from the Shima, and he gets smacked by the Yami for good taste. And that could have been a much better game. Like, when you see the end result of this game, remember that moment right there. If we had gotten that shot off a little sooner, had those shells land for 20, 30, maybe even 40. I've hit people without Citadels for 40k in this thing. I had a 41,000 damage broadside out of this thing earlier. Like, this thing is nasty. But Champagne once again gives up another juicy angle. We take the shot at him. We are detected right now. We know the Alaska's dead, so that means only one thing. Their Shima is over here. We know where their Edinburgh was, so we're not worried about him. It's gotta be their Shima. And at this point, I have a decision to make. Is the Shima playing, or is he AFK? Well, it just so happens to be a Shima R. So I was thinking, okay, well, there's a good chance that this Shima is actually not playing. So I'm going to continue my push, and Champagne makes the turn that will end his life. There's nothing he can do from this point out. And because my Shima puts up a smoke screen, he gives me the beautiful smoke firing penalty, and, you know, Death Strike comes in on the Champagne. I mean, he lived longer than he should have, but you can only go broadside to a Montana so many times in a very, very squishy ship that is known for being Death Struck. And, yeah, I mean, it will eventually come back and get you. But here you can see I'm trying to use the island for cover. I want to get this base cap. The Edinburgh's coming towards me, and it was at this point I was like, there's a chance that it's actually the Edinburgh spotting me. But no, you can see there's clearly an island between me and the Edinburgh. It's not him spotting me. So that means it is definitely the Shima. And I radio for help here. I'm like, hey, need support. I'm detected, because I want the Shima that's in the middle to come help me. Shima has only one thing on his mind, which is nuking everybody that's sitting in their base with torpedoes, and I can't really blame him in this case. I mean, it is just a juicy target, and it's exactly what I plan to do. So you can see I am going full throttle. I'm already getting my guns to bear. I'm spotted. I'm checking to make sure Edinburgh still doesn't have a shot or have a line of sight, so it is definitely a Kaba, or not Kaba, but Shima that's spotting me. So we're going to have to try to trick this Shima. So we're going straight at where I think the Shima is, and we're also getting a full broadside out here at Gizmo. Remember, this is the division mate of our buddy in the Yami. And did I tell you guys about a 40,000 damage broadside? Yeah, that's it right there. 44,000 damage, 10 penetration salvo. Absolutely disgusting. Now, Shima shows his hand, starts shooting at me, which means I know torpedoes are on the way, right? So I turn away from him, and sure enough, we're able to dodge all these torpedoes, no problemo. Now, Gaki here is, again, somebody I recognized from the last match, so I'm like, okay, this guy was a pain in my neck. I'm going to go Death Strike this man. I should be able to go straight at this man, and on the drive-by, Death Strike him. Yamis are extremely easy to drive by and Death Strike. I don't want to shoot early. I want to come up into the middle of him and ruin this man. But he has other plans. See the first shot, he shoots at my belt. And I'm like, okay, I feel pretty good. We're golden. We're golden. At this point, I feel amazing about this opportunity. I'm like, I'm going to drive by this guy. We don't have to worry about Shima Torps anytime soon. But the Yami has a very fast reload. And at this angle, we're about to get touched. This man's about to citadel us right through that bow side plating and punch us right in the mouth. And he hits us for all of it, leaving us with 600 hit points, and we just turn in and ram him at that point. We're like, screw it, that's it. Like, I was hoping to do the drive-by, but as soon as he reached through my bow side plating and citadel me, hitting me for all of my health, which I was like 38,000 damage, I was like, nope, we got to ram. So we take him out. He also went for the ram on us, which is nice, because, like I said, if he hadn't, he kills us right there. Or his buddy kills us. Either way, I was not about to survive that. I gambled trying to get the drive-by. I actually lost, but we end up getting that ram, getting 218,000 damage done in this match. And don't forget, we also got the solo cap, which is a huge, huge bonus in XP. So we had us a solid match. Now, because their other Yami bowed into me, which was kind of silly because he didn't need to, I couldn't shoot him at the time. And I was clearly tunnel visioned on the guy that was closest to me. So he didn't need to bow into me, but he goes full broadside in front of both of our Yamatos, and they quickly removed him. He went from full health to no health in no time flat. And that just leaves a Shima that was out here, and this Alaska. And we have 3 caps, we have 900 points, and we're about to take their base as well, which will give us 4 caps. Now, Alaska does a good job. He recognizes he was spotted by the enemy Shima. Shima's heading this direction. He actually is about to radar as well, and he can see the Shimas on the backside of the island, but he does a good job of slowing down, turning and dodging all those torpedoes, which is huge. When you only have 33,000 hit points, you can't be affording to take a 23,000 damage torpedo. Like, you just can't. So he does a good job. Well done to him for dodging. And well done to the team. Like, this was a solid team game. Like, the game did everything that they needed to do. But the fact that we were able to get those crossfire opportunities, this map is all about those crossfires. And the Montana is as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys got to see the strengths of the Montana with those gigantic broadside salvos that people give you. And the weaknesses as well, with showcasing that bow side plating weakness that I've already told you guys multiple times about. American ships have that weakness, much like the Yami. Not quite as much as the Yami, but definitely similar to the Yami. If you get through that bow side plating, there's a good chance you Citadel an American battleship. But top of the leaderboard, 3,200 base XP, 3 kills, and 200 and, what was it, 18,000? I forgot. Yeah, 218,000 damage. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.